Happy holidays, and I know some of you out there are probably thinking that, hey, 2021 is right around the corner and I want to purchase a home. It's going to be on my to-do list come January 1st. I want to be able to buy. So in this video, I'm going to talk about the cost of purchasing a home in 2021. So let's hop into the video. So all of these numbers that I'm going to talk about are based on a sales price of about $300,000. It's slightly under the median home price here in Las Vegas, which I believe is about the $340,000 range, but it gives us a good ballpark to kind of give you an idea, generally speaking, of the fees and the costs that are involved in purchasing a home. One of the first things that you're going to be doing once your offer is accepted is sending in your earnest money to the title company. And a lot of times that is done via wire. The reason why it's done via wire is there's a lot of wire fraud that's actually going around right now. So the title companies want to make sure that the funds do come from you and they come secured. That way the funds are verified and we can use that towards your down payment and closing costs. So depending on the purchase price of the home that you're looking at, your earnest money can range anywhere from $1,000 going all the way up to tens of thousands of dollars. But generally speaking, you can say it's almost about 1% of whatever the purchase price is of the home that you're looking to buy. So in this case, for a $300,000 home, you can expect to spend about $3,000. Again, it could be less, could be more, just depends on what the seller was willing to accept when they listed that property. So that's the first thing that you're gonna be doing, is your earnest money. Now the exciting part happens. Your home inspection's done and now it's time to work with your lender. Hopefully you're working maybe with us at Loan Depot. We're gonna be ordering your appraisal. Now, depending on the type of financing you're doing, appraisals can run anywhere from $475 all the way up to $550. So this is a fee that will be required if you are using financing. However, if you're paying cash for the home, you don't necessarily need an appraisal on the house unless you determine that you want to go and spend the extra money to have somebody go out and tell you what the value is. But as far as financing is concerned, the appraisal is a requirement throughout the financing process. There are some changes that Fannie Mae has made recently that allows for property waivers. So there are times that your lender does not need an appraisal on the property. Now that will be determined at the time of the application when your lender is preparing your file to be submitted towards processing and underwriting. So definitely check with your lender, ask them those questions. Do I have a property waiver? Is there a property inspection waiver or a PIW? Those are some of the acronyms or terms that we use in the industry that determines whether or not we actually need to do an appraisal on the house. So if you're lucky enough, you might get a waiver and you could actually save yourself an extra $500. Now, let's say you do get the waiver and you still want an appraisal done. You can certainly do that. Just communicate that with your lender and they can go ahead and get that ordered for you so that way you can still have the appraiser go out and assess the value of the property, make sure that the value is okay for us to be able to get you financing and it meets the required sales price that you've agreed upon with the seller. And now there are certain times where an appraiser will go out to the house and there will be repairs that needs to be made or there's things that are missing. One of the most common things that a lot of sellers miss is having earthquake straps on their water heaters. So this is a code violation here in Las Vegas. So you have to have that. And if the appraiser goes out to the home and they're missing the water heater straps, they actually have to go back out to make sure that has been corrected. And they do charge the buyer for that fee, which can run another $100 or so. So again, do your due diligence up front. Try to make sure, these code type things, your realtor can look into this for you, making sure some of those repairable items can maybe be addressed before the appraiser goes out, because again, they will charge a trip fee to go back out, re-inspect the home and make sure it meets all the necessary requirements that the lender is going to require for financing. And as your lender, you need to look out for your processing and underwriting fees. Here at Loan Depot, our fees run about $1,300 depending on the state that you're purchasing in. So fees can vary, maybe $100 less, $100 more, but generally speaking, we're at about $1,350. Being in this business for 13 years, and I think $1,300 or so, it's kind of the middle of the road. I've worked at other companies in the past where our processing and underwriting fees were about $1,500. So I think as a general rule of thumb, you can expect to pay anywhere from maybe $1,200 to $1,500 in lender fees. There are lenders out there that probably have less fees, and there's probably guys that even charge more. So again, do your due diligence when you're shopping around for your lender. To me, it's something that most lenders will be charging. I know maybe some online lenders will probably have little to no fees, but again, you're sacrificing the quality, the service that to me most people are looking for. But if you've been you've bought and sold homes numerous times, maybe you don't necessarily need to talk to your loan officer or need any advice, and you just want to jump through the hoops as fast as possible, that might be the best bet for you. So do your research, see what's available out there, and ask your lender what do they typically charge in terms of their processing and underwriting fees. And next up, you have your title and escrow fees. So the title and escrow industry is regulated by the insurance industry, and most of their fees do not vary much from title company to title company. You can do some research out there, but a lot of times here in Las Vegas, the seller is dictating where the title will be opened at. You can negotiate that as a buyer, but a lot of times buyer's agents write the contract for what the seller wants. If you have a relationship with another title company, let's say you work with Chicago Title or Ticor Title, and you've done business with them before, you can certainly negotiate that up front with your purchase contract to see if they would be willing to work with you and your title company. But for the most part, I always see the buyer's agents write in their contract that they will work with whoever the seller is asking for. And for the sake of our video, a $300,000 purchase price, your title and escrow fees will run you about $1,700 or $1,800 for the transaction. They do vary by the sales price of the home. So obviously the higher you go in sales price, the more you'll pay in title and escrow fees. But again, you can shop around for that. They don't vary too much from what I've seen, but if you wanted to just get some peace of mind, you can certainly do that as well. And next up, we have your prepaids, which is comprised of your property taxes and your homeowner's insurance. So most people, when they do finance a home, they create what's called an escrow account. Your escrow account houses your property taxes and your homeowner's insurance. So you as the buyer, all you need to do is make one payment to your mortgage servicer, and then they will disperse your funds to the county to pay your property taxes and to your homeowner's insurance. Some people like to do that themselves, but most people love the convenience of just making their one payment to the mortgage company and letting them disperse the funds whenever it's needed. At our purchase price of $300,000, your prepaids will run you probably about $1,500. Most lenders will always take 1 year's worth of homeowner's insurance up front and maybe a few more months as a cushion. And depending on what time of the year you're closing on your transaction will determine how many months of property taxes that they will also impound into that escrow account to have that set up for you in order to make those future payments on your behalf. And next up, we have our transfer tax. So here in Las Vegas, the seller typically covers that for you when you're buying a resale. Now, that factor is based off of $5.10 for every $1,000 that is associated with the transaction. Like I said, the seller typically covers that for you. But if you are purchasing a new home, the builder does not pay the transfer tax. So you as the buyer will be responsible for that fee at the time of closing. And again, depending on the sales price of the home, the more expensive home you purchase, the more transfer tax there is. So definitely something you might want to negotiate if you are purchasing a brand new home. And a lot of times the builders do offer incentives in terms of closing costs and stuff like that. So maybe that will be able to cover that for you. But in the event they are not covering your closing costs, be prepared to cover that extra fee at the time of closing. And if you are financing your home, of course, you're going to need your down payment. So depending on the type of financing that you're looking at doing, whether it's conventional, you can put as little as 3 to 5% down for a primary residence. If it's a second or a vacation home, you're looking at a minimum of 10% down. And if it's an investment property, you're looking at 20 to 25% down for your down payment. If it's a VA loan, no money down, and FHA financing, you're looking at 3.5% at a bare minimum. And if you are purchasing the home using VA financing, just be prepared that there is a termite report that has to be completed. but you as the buyer, you do not have to cover that fee. That is a fee that goes to the seller. So don't worry about that. Just wanted to point that out to you in case you are using VA financing. You don't have to pay that fee. Again, that gets paid by the seller. And if you are purchasing a home that might have a well or septic tank, again, additional fees for inspections and report and certifications that need to be done. So that could run you another $1,000. Your agent should be able to give you that advice up front. If there is a well or septic tank on the property, you probably want to get that inspected before closing just to make sure there's no cracks and everything is going to be perfectly fine in order for you to close on the home and not have issues once you move into the property. And again, if you are financing your home, there is the option to pay discount points or buying your interest rate down. A lot of people will pay the additional 1%, and that 1% is based off of the loan amount. So let's say you're purchasing a $300,000 home, and let's say you put $100,000 down on your property. So you're borrowing $200,000, and if you paid the 1% discount, that would be an extra $2,000 that you would have to bring in to buy your interest rate down and get you a lower rate. And again, that can all be dependent upon how the market is reacting that day. Let's say your lender is quoting you, let's say 3.25%, and if you bought the interest rate down, maybe you can get it down to 3% or 2.875. So make sure you check with your lender, ask for options. Don't just let them give you one estimate and that's what you're just gonna take to close on your home, because there's a number of ways that a lender can potentially set up your loan for financing. You can either buy the rate down, get you a lower interest rate, or they can even bump the interest rate up slightly in order to give you a credit towards your closing costs. So there's a number of ways, again, like I said, that a loan officer can structure your loan to either lower your rate or maybe even help you offset some of these closing costs. And another fee is a realtor's transaction fee or a broker fee. A lot of agents will charge this fee, and this is for their compliance and a number of other reasons that they all use this fee, and they typically charge the buyer for it. This fee can range anywhere from a couple $100 all the way up to thousands of dollars. I've seen some agents charge an extra $1,000 on their transaction fee. So if you're shopping around for real estate agents, that might be something you might want to ask them up front. Is there a transaction fee and how much is it? Some agents never charge their clients that fee, they waive it themselves. So again, it's something that is negotiable if you're looking to shop around and see if your realtor is going to charge that to you or not. Another fee that's typically negotiated for in the purchase contract is the home warranty. A lot of times the buyer's agent will see if the seller will cover that for them. And again, depending on what you are covering in the home, whether there's a pool, how extensive the warranty wants to be, it can range anywhere from a few $100s up to $500, $600, $700, $800. But it's a cool thing to have, especially if you're a first-time home buyer. Your first year into the house, you're gonna have things that are gonna break. You're gonna have things that are gonna stop working. So you can call the home warranty up, you pay a small deductible, it's typically like 50 bucks. They'll send somebody out, they'll fix whatever you have that's covered by the policy, and that's it. You can use it more than once. I know when I bought my first house, the washer and dryer broke. I had somebody come out, they fixed that. I think my ice maker and my fridge stopped working. They came out, they fixed that. So there's little things like that they can come out and help you minimize your out-of-pocket expense. Like I said, especially for first-time home buyers. And those plans are good for 1 year. So you can decide after your first year in your home, do you want to replace the policy and renew it? Or maybe you invested money into new appliances and things into the home that you have other warranties that you may not necessarily need that extra $500, $600 fee in order to renew your policy. Now, like I said, the sellers typically cover this, but again, if your agent negotiates it, the seller rejects it, that's on you as the buyer if you do want to take on that fee to give you that added protection when you move into your home. And last but not least, we have per diem fees. The per diem fee is charged when the buyer doesn't close on time. This doesn't happen on every single contract. This happens every once in a while, depending on the market that we're in. Like right now here in Las Vegas, the market's hot. The market's very competitive. You're getting multiple offers on numerous properties, and the sellers want to close on time. So if the seller wants to be a stickler, they can put this into the contract where if you as the buyer do not close by a certain given date, and if you need an extension past that date, they can then charge you any amount of money in order to keep that contract active in order for you to close. I've seen contracts where sellers were asking $100 a day for every single day that the buyer did not close. So again, this goes back to my earlier videos that we've talked about. How do you find a good realtor? How do you find a good lender? Because these are all the things that a good realtor can negotiate for you and protect you from this, and also finding a good lender who understands the market, who can move quickly. And again, communication is the biggest thing that you need to have when you're purchasing a home. So if you have a good team between your agent, your lender, and yourself, you can avoid some of these additional fees that again could come up. Doesn't happen on every transaction, but there are instances where sellers will put their foot down and say, if you don't close by X date, we will charge you money in order for you to close on this house. And again, if you're a first-time home buyer and you're limited on your out-of-pocket funds, this might be an extra $500 that maybe you don't have budgeted for this home purchase. So be very cognizant of your contract, read it, understand it, ask questions from the beginning, because these are all things that are in there that you should be very, very well aware of up front when you sign that contract before you go into escrow. So this pretty much sums up the cost of purchasing a home in 2021. I hope this video gives you guys a lot of insight, some tips, some things maybe you weren't even aware of, maybe some good questions to ask your lender, ask your real estate agent, and be able to educate yourself a little more on the buying process, because once you do go into contract, things move very quickly, right? And it gets very exciting, and you're not thinking about maybe some of the pitfalls or concerns that you might have had when you initially were starting your home search. I hope this video helps you with your future home purchase. And again, if I missed anything, or if you guys have specific questions, please drop that in the comments below. We read every single comment, we reply to everybody, or send us a DM. I'd love to help you guys out. Even if you're working with another lender, you can always give us a call, and we can be another advocate for you just to make sure that you're getting a fair shake on your home purchase or even your refinance. And as always, I appreciate the love and support and everyone watching the video. Subscribe to our channel, hit the bell, and we'll see you on the next one.